Hey everybody, I'm Meg from LovenStamps and you are watching Maker Mornings with Meg, and today we are reaching for the stars. So space, the final frontier, or whatever your favorite like space, outdoors, sky, stars theme is. You're going to want that for today's project, which is not a card. We are going to make a notebook cover because the stamps that we're using is Reach for the Stars, and it has some large elements in it, and the designer series paper has some large elements in it. And so between the two, I just thought, you know what, a great way to use this set would be to go ahead and do something that is a little bit larger palette, so something that's going to take a little bit more space to fit. Get that, what I did there? A little more space to fit. And so let's take a quick look at these designer series papers. They are 12 by 12. They are absolutely beautiful. The back sides are like really super saturated colors to go along with the space scenes. Here's another space scene here. Like, I don't know, they're like galaxies. Here's the back side of that one. Just absolutely beautiful images, depictions, and so forth. So here's the back side of that one. And then we have some collections of planets. So there's this one with a really bright sort of oranges and flirty flamingos and rich raspberries on this paper. And then we have this giant purple one here with the green on the back. And finally, we have this pretty planet paper, which is sort of the cool color planet paper, and then these starry scenes on the back. So how do those planets work? The planets work together with the dies for this stamp set. So here are the dies, and the planets are the same size as the circles in these dies. So you can cut out the planets with these circles. So not only is this a very specific space-themed set, but it is also a full set of concentric or coordinating die circles, so you can use those for anything you want if you want to die cut circles that all layer together. So with that, let's go ahead and switch our camera, and we're going to get started with our project here. All right. So we've got our astronaut. I've got a surprise visit from some gorgeous holographic paper coming, all kinds of good stuff here. So first, let's talk about our pieces and our parts. This is just a notebook. They are 5 by 8. They come in a package from any office supply store, and they're very inexpensive. Then I have a full sheet of cardstock that I've cut down to be 8 inches tall. So the only cut I've made is at the top. Cut off 1/2 inch, so this is 8 inches. And then I kept the whole 11 inches here. Now, often I would cut off this little flap, but I'm gonna show you why we're not gonna cut off the flap. I just popped off my scoring markers. No worries. I'm gonna show you why we're not cutting that off. So for this one, what I'm gonna do is put this on my Simply Scored board. You have to pretend that it's not already scored, but I'm gonna score first at 5 inches because that's the width of my notebook. Then I'm going to score at 5 1/4 inches because that is going to be the thickness of our notebook. So our side is going to fit in here. And then I'm going to measure across 5 inches and give myself 1 extra 1/8 so that I make sure that there's enough space to cover the front. So this is going to be 10 3/8 that I'm scoring. And then I end up with that flap there left over at the end. All right, let me get this out of the way. And I have so much like stuff on the side here to show you guys. So then I'm going to take this, I'm going to score or fold on all those score lines, and I'm going to show you how this fits here into our notebook, just like this, okay? So you can see here that extra 1/8 of an inch that I gave us on the side means that our paper doesn't show. Now, this is the back side, so this is the 5 inches. If I just done 5 inches, then especially with a bright color like this, you end up with this white edge showing, and that makes me a little bit unhappy. So I'm going to use our paste this way, and this is going to strengthen this edge and give us a place to hide our closure. And then on the front of this, we have a piece of designer series paper. If you think about this piece being 5 1/8 inch wide, then you're going to make your paper just that much narrower on the 8 and on the 5 1/8. So I made mine a teeny bit narrower than I would have liked, but that's okay. So anyway, you're gonna size down your space paper, and we are going to cover up the fact that I cut my space paper a little too narrow by adding an extra piece on the side here. And this is part of the holographic, anyway, I'll get the whole package out, specialty paper, and it coordinates beautifully with our space paper here. It's part of the space suite, the Stargazing collection. So this is Stargazing. And these papers right here, and this is going to be one of those times when you're like, Meg, it's so much prettier in person than it is in the book. Like, yes, it is. So here are the papers. I showed them, I opened them for the first time when we did our new catalog premiere night, and I was like, wowed. So here are this is the silver paper. This is the ombre pink and purple. It has a good reflection. You can see my ceiling light and my camera there. Can you see me? Hi. I don't know. Oh, there I am. Hello. So it has this gorgeous color in it, and the more you flex it, then the more that color comes out. And then the final color paper here is this silver one here. And I won't move it for a second so you can see just really what that looks like on its own. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's got this sort of metal plate kind of look to it. And it's got like some rainbow shimmer to it when you move it in the light. So those are the Holographic Trio 12 by 12 specialty paper that just came out in the new book. So absolutely gorgeous, and a really great match for Stargazing as well as some other pieces. So we're going to use those a couple times. So watch for those to come back. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stick this down, I think, because we're going to come back to this. So when I use something large like this, I'm going to often use my multi-purpose liquid glue because I just like that it gives me really full coverage, really full glue coverage. It covers the whole area. I know I'm not leaving a spot for my thumb in there, but that's okay. I just want this almost to the edge and just have a really good coverage there. And I'm gonna do it this direction. All right, so our notebook is moving under our paper here, which is less than ideal, but it'll be okay. And one of the great things about the liquid glue is that you have that extra second to shift things if you realize you got something crooked or whatnot. So it's very forgiving in that respect. And then, like I said, we have this piece of the shimmer paper here, and I kind of like the purple part of it the most with our elements. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to give it a little clip there. Oh, you can see my dimensional from the other day. Okay, I lost my clip. There we go. And cut that part off. All right, so then this is going to fit on the edge just like this. So let's add some multi-purpose liquid glue to this too. This one I'm going to leave myself a place. You really want to keep the glue off the front of this paper because it will definitely leave a mark that will show. All right, so I've got that set there. And then I think that's that half Stampin' Dimensional from that marvelous collage card the other day. Let's get rid of that. All right, so now we have our piece here. Let's go ahead and do some collaging for the front of our card now, or the front of our notebook. I didn't feel like there was a ton of space on here to be able to put the rocket ship and the spaceman. So let's go ahead and I'm going to do our spaceman. We're going to do it in Starry Sky, which is such a perfect match for this in name and also in theme here. And we're going to go ahead and stamp our space guy here. All right. And then we're also going to die cut that space character, our astronaut. And to go along with where's the astronaut die? Okay, well, that is, oh, there it is. That's the problem with washi tape on our dies here. Sometimes they end up in weird spots, but all right, so we're gonna pop this on here and line that up and washi tape it down. Okay, so then we'll die cut that, and through the magic of television, ta-da, we have our space dude here ready to go. All right, So he's gonna kind of fit on there in outer space. But we want to give him some planets and so forth to be looking at. So we're gonna bring back our paper here. And you'll notice that there's some holes in mine. And what I said was that the planets are all sized to fit on the various dies. So whichever planet you want to cut out, there is a coordinating die that is the same size. Of course, you could cut smaller, but you might as well get the most like bang for your buck out of your planets. So all you have to do is cut all these pieces. Now, everybody looks at this around the edge and they're like, wait, but there's all those wasted planets. You know what? The dies cut those out too. You just have to cut off the edge of your paper. The other thing is, like, obviously you can't put this whole sheet through your die cut machine. So that's why I usually use scissors and trim kind of around the edges. And then you can go ahead and you can cut those pieces, whether it's on the side or the edge, to get your planets. And so I, of course, have done that through the magic of television. So let's pull some of those planets that I've cut. So I have this one here, and I have some partial planets. Now, Meg, what are you doing with those partial planets? Well, I am so glad you asked. I love the partial images from the Edges of Designer Series paper because they make it really easy to just slide things up against the edge of your project. This one actually has a 90-degree corner on it, so it's going to have to go up here on our project. And what that's doing is it's making it look like we've cut our scene out of just a really big piece. And I even have one with the little rings on it I think we're going to put down here. Okay. It's making that look like it's cut out of a really big piece of paper that was just the perfect size to have those cool extra elements on it. Okay. So now we need a greeting for our project. And I love this Reach for the Stars, which I think is a really fun reminder, like on a notebook that you would be using for, you know, more than one occasion. You'll be having that handy. So let's pull our Reach for the Stars out. And instead of stamping it on a piece of basic white cardstock, we can stamp it on a planet. Now, this is the dark side of the planet here and the light side of the planet here. So I'm going to go ahead and do my stamping so that it's a little bit up towards the light side. Okay, there we go. Reach for the stars. And now it's just kind of perfectly highlighted there. So this is going to go off to the side. Now, we might even have our astronaut kind of overlap it. Now, the other thing that's included, aside from the flames that go behind the rocket ship, and then these fabulous bubbles, which are texture dies, it's not going to cut this out. It's going to impress this. And when you're talking about the designer series, or sorry, the holographic specialty paper, they're perfect for doing impressions in those. And in fact, if you look in the book, let me pull this up, you can see right here on this card, see how they, those bubbles behind the rocket ship, those were done with those little dots there. So that gives you an idea of what those are good for. But we also have this fabulous rings die cut, and there's a small one for the smaller planets and then this larger one for the large planets. And this is beautifully cut from the holographic paper. So through the magic of television, I have a holographic ring here, which we've die cut to go around our planet. And I can never remember which way it goes. Not that way. This way. There we go. Doesn't that, you just keep playing with it till it looks right. But oh my gosh, isn't that gorgeous? So now we have a really cool extra planet element here to go on our notebook cover. Now we should start sticking some things down. And honestly, if this was a card, I would be putting Stampin' Dimensionals all over the place because, to just pull off that glue from the end there, because I love to have things popped up. But on a notebook, you know, if you're going to put this in a backpack or a purse or a bag and slide it in and out all the time, the chance of getting extra wear and tear from elements that are popped up is just too high. So in that case, I tend to like to glue things flat so that we're not worried so much about scraping off things from the front of our notebook. So, all right, sticking this down. I kind of forgot that I hadn't stuck that one yet. And this is also where multi-purpose liquid glue comes in handy because it's just such a great strong adhesive. So you don't have to worry about these elements coming off. And even our astronaut is gonna go on there. Now, I'm working kind of in the middle of the air because I haven't put our notebook together. You might be happier if you put your notebook together before you try to do these parts, just because it keeps moving on me, but we'll carry on now. All right, I'm gonna flip this to the back side. Make sure you guys leave a comment. Is there somebody who can think of who would appreciate an astronaut card? Whether it's somebody who is like a kid at heart or somebody who likes outer space, or honestly, I love these greetings friend, you're stellar. They're just fun. I would send that to a lot of people. So, all right. So now I feel like, oh, I didn't put any adhesive under the back of this. So I'm going to pop a little more under there. There we go. Now I feel like we could use a little more sparkle. So one of the other things that's included in this die set are these little sets of there they are, the little sets of stars. And those I also die cut. And one of the great things you can do is die cut them from your scraps. So hang on to these little scraps here and die cut yourself some stars. Let me pull these out. There we go. So these are the little holographic star pieces. There we go. And they come in a couple different sizes, and there's 2 dies for them. So you can actually die cut quite a few at a time. And I like to kind of place these to just kind of get an idea of where I might want them. And then I'm going to add the adhesive, and I'm going to come back and glue them down. So let's see. I'm going to side them to the side and put little tiny dots of glue. And then, because I don't like the way they stick to my fingers and get messed up, I'm actually going to pick them up with my take your pick tool and use that to set them down. So I might need one other fingernail to just knock them off and make sure they stay behind. And then I really like to use the pokey tool end of the take your pick tool to get those set. So again, if you're looking for supplies, the video description includes a supply link, and you can support my channel by shopping with me, which I very much appreciate. So, all right. So next on the front of our notebook, we need some bling, don't you think? And so I'm aware that our 3D bling has the highest chance. This is half of a package that are trimmed. They fill the whole thing of the 22 to 24 in colored dots. The bling has a higher chance of getting knocked off, but you know what? It's worth it. They're so pretty. And I love that the colors match because we have our starry sky here. So I'm going to pop a couple of these onto the front of our notebook, maybe out here. I always like to focus on our focal point, right? You guys know I'm going to say that. Our bling is going to define our focal point. So I'm going to pop some a little bit around here and maybe kind of one more down here, but bottom of our astronaut. Except we have 4 on there now, which I can't handle. So we're going to pop one more up there. So now we have kind of a constellation here. You like that? Constellation of a constellation of blingy spots. Yes, we're just all about the great puns here today. Feel free to contribute more if you're thinking of them as you're watching. So, all right, so we've got the front of our notebook done, and I promised you guys a fun closure for this. So first, what I've got is a piece of 5-inch wide designer series paper, and this is going to fit here on our notebook. So I'm going to go ahead and add some multi-purpose liquid glue. And the way I like to attach these, I kind of pick the interesting part first and stick this down here on the front. So I've got this glued, and I'm going to give that a second to grab because this is multi-purpose liquid glue, so it doesn't grab instantly. And then I'm going to float this around to the back and press it down so that that is nice and tight there around the top of our notebook. So now we have this cute notebook topper. And I'm not sure, this is what happens when you buy inexpensive pads. They have random pieces of paper, there we go, sticking out of them. Okay, and then we're gonna pop this into our notebook cover. And I'm gonna use multi-purpose liquid glue again, good amount on there. Now, when you pop this in, there's a real trick to this, and I've shared this before because we've done some notebooks in the last year or two. What I like to do is set it up this direction. So it's like sitting down on my table, and I just pop this into the spine and close my notebook shut, okay? Then you can double check it at the bottom or even like pop it up. I'm just pushing it just a teeny bit. But what that means is that it's square inside your folder. You don't have to worry about it being crooked or anything like that, okay? All right, so you're gonna wanna hold that or put some extra large blocks on it for a bit. So let's go to our closure. What I wanna do is I wanna add an elastic closure to this. And I don't know if you guys have seen before, sometimes on fancy notebooks, there's like an elastic closure that goes around to the back of the notebook. Well, we are gonna do that. Why not, right? So I have some clear elastic, which is actually from a sewing supply store. I stole this from my sewing stash because I had it handy. I really wanted black round elastic, but I didn't have any that would be super appropriate. So we're gonna use this clear, and actually, I kind of like how it comes out, so. All right, let me get ourselves a length here. We need the whole notebook plus enough to tie it. So honestly, there's nothing super special about this. You can use any kind of elastic that you like. If it's flat elastic, it'll work best for this particular application. And I've got enough to wrap around, so I'm gonna go ahead and clip that off and set that aside. This happens to be 3/8, but you can certainly use narrower clear elastic. And I, just like in sewing stuff, I like to pre-stretch my elastic. Sometimes it can be kind of stiff when you get started, and then it has like extra ease that comes out of it, and then it's a little bit loopier than you expect because it got stretched. So pre-stretch your elastic. All right, so now remember that handy little folder on the front of our notebook? We are going to pop this under there. So eventually. So the first thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and tie our elastic. So you could sew it if you wanted to, but I've got just a little bit of stretch in it. I don't want a ton because I don't want to put too much stress on it, but just a little bit of stretch to it. And I'm gonna go ahead and tie a square knot because it will stay and not tug out. And there we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull all the pieces there and make sure that that's about the right length. Okay, and then I'm gonna trim some ends because we don't need so much of it. All right, and then now I'm gonna take this and I don't really want it on the front of our notebook. What I wanna do with this is we're gonna put it underneath the slide here, okay? So we're gonna go ahead, what's the best way to do this? I'm gonna do, for the purposes of our assembly, I'm actually gonna reverse it and pop it along the front here, okay? No, so you want the knot on the inside, sorry guys. You want the knot on the inside, okay? So it's gonna be kind of like this. And then this part is what would go over the notebook. You would wrap it around like this. But you're gonna have to reinforce it a little bit to make sure you get a really good bond in there. So what I'm gonna do first is put a whole bunch of glue on the flap and then some glue underneath. I'm not gonna go too up to the edge at the top and the bottom because I wanna make sure that we're not gonna have glue squishing out the top and the bottom. And now I'm gonna pop our elastic back in there into the crack part, into the little flap, and I'm going to fold the flap down on our elastic. Now, you're gonna end up with a spot that has this little knot in it, which is not, sorry, cracked myself up, which is not really what we want. So we're gonna make a flap now that's gonna go over the top of this, and I want the glue to go all the way to the edge here so that it reinforces this element right here. So basically we're making an extension of our flap that's going to help hold it down and have it hide that knot and so forth in there, okay? So I've got this piece here. It's about 1.5 inches wide, and it's just a teeny bit shorter. So it's probably 1.5 inches by, oh, let's see, our thing's 8 inches tall. So I bet this extension is about 7 3/4 inches tall. All right. So like I said, with multi-purpose liquid glue always, it takes an extra second to grab, so be a little patient with it, but there it should be pretty good. And now when we want to close our notebook, we can go ahead and wrap this elastic around to the front like that. And so now we have a little elastic closure on our notebook that will hold everything shut, and we have the front of our very fun Reach for the Stars themed notebook. So whether you have graduations or Honestly, you could make these early for the start of the next school year. Whether you have somebody who's starting off on a new adventure, hey, there's an extra star. Okay, go ahead and glue that one down too. Someone who's headed off on a new adventure, or just honestly at any time, like I'll already have a nice reminder to reach for the stars, right? So hope you guys have enjoyed this project as something a little bit different, and I hope you're actually excited about that stargazing paper and that whole suite. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So many fun things you can do with it. And with a punny stamp set, you're stellar. If I had a star for every time you brighten my day, I'd have an entire galaxy. What a nice thing to send to someone. So all kinds of good stuff in this one. And I look forward to hearing what you guys think about it. So make sure you leave a comment. And if you need any of the supplies, the link is in the video description, so you can go ahead and use that, and that supports my channel. I appreciate your comments, your likes, your shares, and all the good things. And I will see you soon for another Maker Mornings with Meg. So happy stamping, guys.